My name is Justin Hill, and this is social media's influence on cognitive development. Does social media usage limit children's cognitive development? Growing up in the early 2010s, I got a taste of what childhoods were like without social media, and then I've obviously now seen what they are like with social media. I personally have always thought that it's better without social media, but I never really knew why or had the proof to back it up. Children with higher social media usages are showing lower cognitive test scores. This is most likely not from social media making them dumber, but from social media taking up time that could otherwise be used on enriching activities that do increase their test scores. Jackson and Griggs, Chapter 7, Introduction to Psychological Sciences. Jackson and Griggs explained Erikson's psychological stage theory. From age 5 to puberty, industry versus inferiority stage takes place. This is the area of life where children become competent by mastering new skills. The text says children learn to be competent by mastering new intellectual, social, and physical skills, or feeling inferior if they fail to develop these skills, from Jackson and Griggs, page 319. And this can cause a snowball effect if they do, in fact, fail to develop these skills. Jackson and Griggs, Chapter 7, in the identity versus role time, this takes place in adolescence. This is where adolescents develop their sense of identity, where, like in the previous stage, if there is no role experimentation, then there can be confusion. It is likely that the child does not become competent with intellectual skills, as mentioned in the industry versus inferiority stage, and they will most likely struggle with their identity versus role. Well, with identifying their role. Intimacy versus isolation. Young adults either make new intimate relationships or become isolated because they fail to do so. The failure to form intimate relationships can likely be caused by a lack of key social skills that are developed by experience, and experience that they will not have if they're using social media, as I mentioned before. Vladimir Hedrith's article, Worry and Rumination, identified as key cognitive factors in addictive social media use. Hedrith's article is about people who are in distress are more likely to be led to problematic uses of social media. Hedrith talked on a study done in Italy where there were about 550 social media users. The participants completed tests to test their distress and other mental factors. Hedrith said the statistical model showed, and then which in turn contributed to problematic social media network site use. That was Hedrith in 2024. Katrina Petrova's higher social media engagement linked to reduced performance on cognitive assessments. Petrova talked on an investigation done by the University of California, where they tried to understand patterns between social media usage and how well adolescents performed on cognitive tests. The researchers grouped a sample of children based off of social media usage for a significant amount of time. They then performed cognitive tests on the children to see how that was affected. Adolescents in the high increasing group showed the most significant defects compared to their peers who avoided social media use. That was Petrova's in 2025. Eric Dolan's Low Cognitive Ability Intensifies the Link Between Social Media Use and Anti-Immigration Attitudes article. First off, he said individuals who frequently use social media and perceive immigrants as a threat are more likely to harbor negative emotions toward them. That was Dolan in 2024. An unnamed research group made a survey post on social media asking people on their thoughts of immigrants. It was found that people with higher cognitive intelligence are more likely to not be affected by the high emotion posts, and that those with the high emotion posts are of lower cognitive intelligence. Limitations of popular press articles. Popular press articles have some ideological issues. A lack of peer review and qualified authors. Low funding, meaning they must resort to applying other people's research findings to their own topics rather than making their own experiments. So the tests they're using aren't designed to test exactly what they're talking about. Because popular press articles are not published by big established publishers, authors must try to get their articles to stand out in the crowd. This could lead to some of the more solid, boring information getting left out because it does not grab the reader's attention the same. So it might be right, but because it's not interesting and it's not going to get a reader's attention, it could get left out. What I've learned. Things I've learned through this process include Erik Erikson's psychological stage theory. People with higher cognitive capabilities are less likely to have negative, angry emotions. And social media isn't actually doing harm, it's just taking time away from the things that could be building the cognitive function. Things I wish I learned more about are what activities are actually building cognitive function and the consequences of low cognitive abilities, like what actually goes wrong in the long run because of low cognitive abilities. Reflection of future consumption. So this research has helped me to apply the psych topics to real life scenarios. It's easy to sit here and read about and take notes on random things in psych, but sometimes it can be hard to think, all right, how does this really apply in the real world? And so this has helped me image and be able to apply it to real world scenarios. And the paper portion of this has also helped me to find reliable sources when I am digging and doing research for topics. References. Yeah,